different other little things. Rubber mallet. You know, you want a soft blow on something. I like to put a little piece of plastic or a piece of tape on the end, just so you don't get any mark from the black. You know, a door panel. You want to pop it on. You know, there's different things that you can use that are more or less at your discretion, whatever you have at home. If you have a metal hammer and you just want to put a piece of cloth over the end just to pop your doors shut, you don't want anything tearing into your vinyl. Let's see, foam. Foam has come really a long way lately. There's different densities of foam, different thicknesses of foam, and I have to tell you guys, foam ain't cheap. You go to any kind of a store where they sell this stuff, perhaps a furniture store, or you know, different department stores where they sell foam. Densities, thicknesses, but foam nowadays is really come pretty far. It doesn't want to hold water anymore. It doesn't want to get moldy. It stands up a lot longer than the older stuff that we have, the older foam and the old horsehair and cotton. There was the old time seats had some cotton in there, which wants to mash and stay mashed, so it never comes back up. This foam, if you want. If you're adventurous, like I said, and you want to go out and you want to buy some foam, the best way to cut it is with your old turkey knife. Seriously, it's, you know, I seen guys try and cut it with scissors, they try and cut it with a razor knife, and you get all these jagged edges. With this turkey knife, this goes straight through, and you can make a whatever type you want, and that just ripped through some 2-inch foam like nothing. And then you can go at lunchtime, you can go and cut your sandwich in half. Headliner foam is what we in the industry like to use as like pretty much of a filler or a topper foam. It's real soft. This is basically your headliner foam that you have in your car. It's a higher density. It's close to a 1/4 inch thickness. And so we have some people that stop on and they say, well, my headliner is dropping down in my car. Can you guys do something? Yeah, we can fix that for you. But throughout, you know, the years, this foam in here starts to deteriorate and it starts to let go of this fabric. And it's a very light, thin fabric that's colored, and it just starts to pull away. It starts to, you know, delaminate itself. And if you like to drive with the window down and the wind starts coming in, it starts wanting to grab this material and wants to pull down on it. So next thing you know, you got this ripple wave going across, and it works its way across over. And I already dealt with some customers that said, well, I got up there with a staple gun. Well, up underneath there is actually, there's a fiberglass board or a light press board that's molded. Now to replace this part, you have to take the trim off around the outside, take it, flip it upside down on the big table and pull this old stuff off, get in there with a wire brush, scrape off this old foam that's now all just mush, get in there, put this new stuff on, glue it on, smooth out, and then put it back up. So there are some places around that claim that they can put this back on your car, new stuff, without taking that down, and that's a bunch of horse hockey, because what they're basically doing is they're going in your car and they're gluing up this material, the new headliner, they're gluing that stuff up on top of the old stuff that's already pulling apart. So it's going to look great for about a week until you roll your window down and it starts to blah, 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 and then it drops down again. So that's pretty much the tale of when, if you're driving and you have a little bit of that headliner problem. Yeah, this like I was saying before, this is really a great item to have. I mean, you know, Kmart, it's like $6.99 if you want to deal, but it's great for sandwiches and foam. That's about it. Let's see, it's an interior care stuff. I like to use like a 3/0 steel wool on chrome bezels. Gauge bezels. You can go around the edge there, and a real soft steel wool, like a 3 or 4/0 steel wool. You can actually clean glass with this stuff. Chrome, you just it's so soft, and it just pulls off whatever is floating on there, just sitting on the surface. Great stuff. My opinion, and a lot of upholsterers or interior guys will say that their best interior care product is Lemon Pledge. It's great. And when you go and you buy some Armor All, Armor All has silicones in there, and to get these silicones to adhere to what you're spraying onto, they have to put some kind of a aggregate in there, or something that's going to blade into some ammonias or chemicals that's going to hold that onto what you're spraying onto. And so your Armor All dashboard looks great. Next week you have to spray it again because it goes in and then it just deteriorates. Lemon Pledge, you can spray on there, and there's minimal chemicals in there. It's natural lemon oils. It smells great. It's not slimy. You can spray it on leather, vinyl, wood, convertible tops, tires, and it's, what is this, like $6? You know, Armor All, you're going to pay probably double that and get half, and you're going to use twice as much because it wants to be addicted to try and think. So this is a really great, what I like to do when I'm finishing up an interior, I'll just run around, I'll spray some on the cloth, I'll just run around the whole inside of the car. Smells great, looks great, it holds its shine, and it's great on, your leather is a natural fiber. It's cow. So, you don't really want to use chemicals. You wouldn't want to spray chemicals on your own skin. So, but with a Lemon Pledge, it's, less abrasive. So.
Does it dry out over long term?
It does dry out, but it's not as quick to dry out because there's no harsh chemicals in there that want to dry, like an Armor All might be. But I know everybody here probably has got some of this underneath their kitchen sink at home. So just try it. Put a little bit on, and if you want to do one seat with this and one seat with your Armor All or whatever product you have, just see how long they last. Great point. See how long they last, and see if you're liking that. Because this doesn't get as slippery.
And then your wife had you doing all the furniture.
Yeah. Sir.
It doesn't have any wax in it?
They say it doesn't.
They really don't give a list of
ingredients at the bottom.
No,
The TV commercial says there's no wax.
Yeah, well, the gentleman said the TV commercial said no wax. Yes, sir.
I've actually used it on the clear plastic window on a BMW convertible top, and then I would lay a towel when I fold at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing you got to watch is if it's wet enough, stuff might cling to it.
Right, it's a little frosted.
It keeps the clear plastic clear.
Right. Yeah. It's great stuff, and it's cheap. Because the top care, everybody knows that you go to a cruise, you're out with some buddies, you're hanging out, everybody's having a great time. It's a hot summer day. You're ready to go home. It's getting a little chilly. You go to put your top up, and it's a little short. And you're like, oh, geez, here we go. And you're up there, you got your foot on the dash, and you're trying to pull it, and it just doesn't want you, trying to get the snaps on. Well, what that, it's the vinyl shrunk. And my books that I have from different top companies say that, 70 degrees, 68 degrees is probably about the best point where if you're going to need a little bit of a sweater, you think, oh, geez, I go put on my top now, it's going to fit. Any chillier, I'm going to have to wait till tomorrow. Otherwise, you're really going to stretch it to the point where some of those seams are going to start to pop apart, and you're putting extra stress on your snaps. You might have a snap that pops, and then you finally get it up and you get it hooked in. You try and latch it. Now your windshield is you can't get back, and the whole top is just like this. So you just want to think about that a little bit. Getting back to a gentleman saying about the window cleaner, we like to use this. This is a great product. Fine scratch remover, Novus. I'm sure there's many different varieties out there. You can take this and you can put this on an old grunt shield window, put a little bit on a towel, about a quarter size, wipe it in, and just keep on a nice circular motion. Don't ever, ever, ever use paper towel. That will just destroy your window. It'll scratch the living bejesus out of it. Nice soft towel, terry cloth, put this on, nice little circular motions. You'd be surprised how clear the window comes out. Really, it's a great product, and there's a couple of these out there on the market. There's different name brands. That, in effect, is pretty much the end of my little display here, or whatever. I'm sure. Is anybody having questions at all about interior? Yes, sir.
What about trying to clean the canvas up for a top or a tonneau or something?
Well, a canvas is, I know they're canvas tonneaus and convertible tops. They're a little tricky. You want to use like a soft brush, and you don't want to get too heavy with chemicals. You don't want to try and get in there with, they sell cleaners that you might want to spray onto a soft, a little bit moistened towel and get in there if you have a spot. And then just try and flush that spot out with some water. If you have a little spray, just try and feather it out. Take a dry towel after you've worked you say you have a stain. Try and get in there with your chemical, your foam sprayer. Spray on there, get it worked in there. So trying to release some of the stain. After that, you want to just feather out with some water, get in there, wet it. Now you don't want a wet ring with a solid edge. You want to try and get that in. Just take a towel and make bigger and bigger wipes on it. So basically you're stepping down that stain or the wet area out until pretty much to nothing. So your eye doesn't go directly to that circle. And you want to maybe try that a couple of times if you're having a stain. Try and determine whether the stain is like a stain that could be water soluble, or if it's a grease stain, or you're gonna have to go in a little bit heavier of a solvent type. But you can always call somebody to help you out. You can call here. You can ask me. Growing up, quick little story of how I learned how to do sewing. My father owned a dry cleaners in Emmaus. And in high school, he said, "Brad, we bought you a car. You want to come over to dry cleaners to work and pay off some gas bills or whatever?" I said, "Sure, Dad. I'll press some pants. I'll run the dry cleaning machine." He's like, "No, you got to go sit at that sewing machine, figure it out, and sew up all those garments." And I'm like, "Dad, I'm on the football team in high school, okay? And the sewing machine is at the front window, right on Lehigh Street." So he's like, "Man, that's the job. Either take it or leave it." I'm like, so I used to sit there with a baseball cap. But that's how I learned that. And then I bought a 72 TR6, and the seat split, and I figured, hey, I could maybe take it apart. So it's just like a hem or a cuff or whatever. So that's how I pretty much got involved with that. But getting back to stains, and working at the dry cleaners, my pop taught me the difference between water-soluble stain and a solvent-soluble stain. And you want to try and get to it as soon as possible and try and lift it out. So even if you have some kind of oil stain on a nice tan convertible top, you just try and get in there, working in with some maybe like a Windex or something with a little bit of ammonia in there to try and release. And even just get out your vacuum cleaner and stick it on there. Because it wants to suck out. You don't want that stain to stay in your fabric. You want it to come out. And you can't really blow through the stain. At the dry cleaners, you have your tie, and it's Thanksgiving, you got some gravy on it. At the dry cleaners, what we'll do is we'll take that, and we have different chemicals put on to break up the stain, flip it over onto a board, and we have a steam gun that shoots through, and there's a vacuum on the steam table. And what we'll do is we'll shoot through the backside to push that stain out, because you don't want it to stay in the fabric. So there you go. That's where the vacuum cleaner comes in. If you want to just somehow find a way to get that stain substance out of your top, and if that works, and then just keep on working it back in. You don't want to let a stain set up or dry, because it's just gonna sit there, and you know, you're kind of SOL, you know. But you know, getting back to your original, it's a great question. It's just something that, if, like I said, if anybody has any problems, feel free to call here. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Sir?
Is there a vinyl glue that you can use on small tears?
Vinyl to vinyl?
Yeah.
There is. 3M makes a product that's it's black. It's for putting trim on your car, like a black. You know, you see newer cars that have the black trim that goes around. It will go vinyl to vinyl, because a lot of times if we use this kind of a 3M or Landau top, it won't hold on to vinyl. It will just want to pull apart. So you can get that on any, like an automotive store. That will, you know, you put a bead on both sides, wait till it sets up, and then it should hold together for you.
Will that work on rubber door seals?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
The rubber to metal?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Sir?
I had my Spitfire done about 10 years ago. One of the major concerns he had when he was doing it was the frame in that seat, parts of the strapping the welds were broken.
Ah, okay.
I spent a lot of time putting that seat frame back together before even they thought about putting foam. And then I bought the store-bought thing with Victoria British to put over it.
Right.
But that was probably, he said, the most important thing that they had to do, to make sure that frame was in good shape.
Yeah, right. We get a lot of seat frames that come in, and they're broken. They're cracked off. The welds are broken. We have to get in, and we have to, you know, straighten out, because they're just going to want to twist. And the seats do go through quite a bit of torque. You know, when you get in and out, you want to push on it. You know, you plop down, and you know, if you weigh a couple of pounds like myself, you know, you really, there's a lot of weight that this is holding. But this is just a rust bucket of an example here. Hopefully none of your seats look like this underneath, because otherwise, holy cow, we'll be seeing you real soon. But yes, sir.
On one of my cars, I got big bolsters like this one has on
Yes.
the sides. And from getting in and out of the car, I'm kind of rubbing the color off of the thing. Is there a color match dye that I could get?
They do make dyes and sprays.
Mm-hmm.
If it's rubbing off, it was colored before.
Yeah.
And we do some of that here. We do it in our spray booth. It has to, prep is the whole instrumental key component of that, because you have to have an adhesion promoter that's going to want to hold, it's like a catalyst between your vinyl and your paint. You need something in there that's going to grab both. We can look at that for you. We could possibly fix it, or just pretty much redo the whole seat, because you're just
a spot about
oh, it's
that
just a
big.
little spot.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We can certainly we can address that situation.
Yeah, it's a shame, because the seat's nice, but it's got that.
Yeah,
One area there.
and that's where your eye will go too. If somebody looks into your car and goes,
Yeah.
what's with that? Yeah, come on. So, yes, sir.
I have an interior that was black leather originally, then it was repainted blue with a spray paint. Is there any way to get the blue coloring off without taking the original black dye out? Because I tried to remove just the blue, and it started to get down and affect the leather underneath.
Oh boy, that's a tough one, because the amount of effort that to strip that stuff off, because they make that spray to go on and stay on. So I would say if you wanted to, you could just go back to black. I mean, you can just go on top of the blue with the black. They have a couple of different shades of black. Actually, they have a shiny. They have like a Landau black, which is more of I don't know where my leather went, but it's more of a matte color. But also with leather, and it's getting a couple of years down the road, it starts to get brittle after a while. So that might be a tough question.
Will like a leather softening treatment, will that be able to penetrate through the blue? and actually get into leather, do some good, or am I just kind of wasting
Generally
time?
not, because the reason why, let me show you with this piece of leather that I have here, because when they dye the leather, I mean, it's dyed through and through. It's not just a spray. So that spray itself is just like a vinyl paint that it seals, and that's what you got. Whereas, and of course everybody knows leather, suede. When they dye these in dye lots, you know, they really penetrates all the way through the skin. And then if you have this and you put a leather softening material on, or your whatever you bought for that, that can sink into that because there's nothing really sealing that. But unfortunately with the paint, it wants to block out, you know, your whatever you're putting in.
So it'd be better off taking the blue off with some of the original dye out, and then treating the leather, and then maybe coloring it to get it back
that's going to be pretty costly, because to get that stuff off in the first place is going to be, you need harsh chemicals on there to get that stuff broken down. That's a tough question.
Can you go back to that everybody knows thing?
Oh,
Go back to that everybody knows.
oh, everybody knows that leather.
Suede is vinyl turned inside out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Nice suede jacket. Here you go. Turn your seats inside out. Sir, in the back there.
Yeah, two questions. On the door, gluing the wood blocks that hold on the TR3 that hold the curtain on.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of glue do you use to put that on the door, or affix it to the door?
Well, there's a couple of different glues you can use for that. You want to have something naturally that's got some weight to it. This doesn't, sprays don't have too much weight. They're not going to go in and sink in and hold on.
You know what you could use? You could use panel bonding adhesive. That is a very strong. I mean, if they put a fender on with it, I'm sure it's gonna, and it adheres to just about anything. So it's expensive, but like the typical 3M spray, certainly I've talked before, it won't kill you. So it's probably not that good. But the panel bonding adhesive is very strong. There's another glue on the market that we use here sometimes. It's a 3M product. It's called 1300. It's a very good aggressive glue. Doesn't seem to fade. Doesn't have the same characteristics of the 3M stuff. But it's any of those, the panel bonding adhesive and the 3M 1300. It's like a once and done deal. So you want to make sure that you have all your cookies in a row before you glue that stuff, because it's going to be a real pain in the ass to get it apart.
And that panel, excuse me, that panel bonding sealant, that's like a two-part epoxy, right?
Yeah.
It's a resin and a hardener.
Yeah, and you need a special gun. You know, of course, why would they make it easy? So, you know, you need the gun, you need the tool to put the cartridge in to do it. I don't think you could sit there with your two thumbs and push this stuff through there and make it come out, because it goes into a straw, and the straw actually stirs the product.
Give you a lot more time to play with.
Yeah, and you have about 15 minutes probably with the adhesive to do that. And the 1300, depending on the temperature that you're doing it in, you might have 5 minutes with that stuff. But it would be, certainly it would be a once and done deal. I mean, of course you want to prepare it right, take some Scotch-Brite or something and scuff the inside of the panel up a little bit, and then you'd be
good to go.
You'd be done like a dinner.
Sir, you had a second part?
Yeah, how do you remove the 3M adhesive? Like putting rubber around the TR3, the back door panel, where the spare tire is. I took the old one out. Good job getting that adhesive.
Yeah, that is, if you want to get in, sometimes I use the Bronco bone in there, that will scrape away, because